Early day Mortal Kombat was the bee's knees. If your parents weren't bringing you to Pound Town at home, these games would do it for them. Surely you don't need anyone to tell you that. The arcade AI was hogwash to deal with, but it didn't matter. Kids were addicted to this stuff. Gamers just wanted more Mortal Kombat. So Midway said sure and gave us more Mortal Kombat. Not just fighters, we also got a couple experiments tossed in there, ones that I can never get enough of. Today we're going to look at the strange case of the Mortal Kombat spin-offs, and let me tell you, if you're not prepared, it's quite the wild and interesting ride. Imagine back in the ancient times, you love your ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 computer game, then, oh my god, Mortal Kombat Mythologies. The 2D fighting you always knew turned into a side-scroller, RPG kind of adventure game. What do you even call this? All is normal at first. You're running through, beating on the monks inside of this temple, until you realize Sub-Zero cannot Sub-Zero. No freezing until you level up to get it. That being one of the new spins on the formula. As you play, you'll unlock the renowned moves of Sub-Zero, since this is indeed his mythology. The guy doesn't even know how to turn around on his own yet, so we need to do it for him. But I get it, it's his early days, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's just a young boy. As you continue traversing through the straight hallways, avoiding some traps, killing more people, having a battle against a yellow clone of yourself, who you do almost get some pleasure from, I might add, this kneeling stance screams experience. But so far, the game seems to be alright. Seriously, if you didn't already think that, how could you disagree when you see this? In what world is anyone going to pay attention to the lore being built when we're looking at FMV cutscenes that reek of grease to this capacity? The cheese is oozing out of every orifice of that green screen, and I love it. I do not care, Papa Zero, that we're being hired to go on a quest to find a medallion for Quan Chi that he wants oh so badly. I want to know what the budget was. How much did it cost for Scorpion's dead family bag of bones? What's the estimate for us to climb up this totally real mountain? I need answers. Answers that I unfortunately will never get. So all I can do is persevere on my quest of fun. Yeah, if only that was true. This moment right here is where kids around the galaxy found out Mortal Kombat Mythologies is the most prolific masturbator of the 90s. Level 2 is filled with a bunch of platforming, and we're not talking this simple jumping across stable platforms, doing our funky little dance, waiting for the Wind Lords to exhale to their heart's content, opening the path forward. We're talking rage-inducing bullshit. There's no other way to put it. Mythologies showed society how truly violent wooden spoons can be. Anyone who's played this game before knows what mental torment these spoons bring. You need to be almost perfect with your jumps to get across them. Otherwise, I cannot tell you how many times I have seen that cutscene in my life. And of course, dealing with only one set of windmill spoons is not enough. There are multiple sets of these things throughout level 2, and it may not look bad from just a visual because I'm obviously a professional at this, one that died about 15, 20, 25 times at this section alone. You just can't tell how many deaths got racked up because my lives don't move. Yep. While Sub-Zero was learning how to freeze, I'm learning how to put in cheat codes. This game has a cheat that gives you 1,000 lives. Use it, abuse it, don't even feel bad. No joke, not a soul in this world will blame you for it. The amount of players who quit this game because of this level is genuinely astounding. Outside of those spoons, we got old timers like grab key, get trolled and die if you don't know you're supposed to run outside the immediate second you grab it. I got lucky in my first go, thank the heavens. And we got other things like jump across swinging rocks that are hanging from the air. True gaming logic right here. If you end up collecting all your keys, somehow stomaching everything, and bring yourself to the end of level 2, you are not remotely in the clear. This is where we encounter our first real boss, Fujin, the god of wind. All this jackass does is fly in the air above you. Anytime you try attacking him, he'll fly backwards and counter you, since thanks to the Mortal Kombat warlords from the skies above, Mythologies is not free of the age-old classic input reading fun from the arcade. And speaking for the arcade titles, I get it, we all understand it, it's bullshit, they read your inputs, these games are quite literally gold diggers. The nice new shiny toy comes in, but all it wants to do is siphon every quarter you own and make you walk away pissed off. But why is the AI like this in Mythologies? Real talk. It's not only Fujin. All the regular enemies do it too. They read your inputs up the wazoo, making it incredibly, not fun to fight anybody. It perplexes me why we can't be free of this curse, even in a game like this. When it comes to the boss battle, the life hack against Fujin is unlocking the upwards freeze attack. Once you do that, taking care of him becomes easier, relatively speaking, since even with that ability, the issue of needing to manually turn yourself around is highlighted more in this battle because Fujin loves to fling you all over the place. Whatever timeline you end up winning in, Fujin will then turn into a 1942 plane, sucking you in and killing you instantly. There's nothing you can do about it. He kills you, whirlwind, dead, that's it. And I'm going to show you this picture. This is the battlefield, we'll call it. If you don't know, what are you supposed to do when Fujin does this attack? Seriously, it's a real question. Take the most random guess possible. Oh, did you guess that you need to walk towards the edge of the level and crouch down for around 2 seconds? No chance in hell you did. This is a part of Mythologies that has been beaten down to death, I know, but Jesus, man, like, what kind of gaming magazine sellout deal mechanic is this? I refuse to believe anyone found this out on their own, unless it was pure luck. There isn't even a hint you're supposed to do anything here. As a player in the 90s, I couldn't imagine going through all the platforming, spoon nonsense, input reading fun, then making it to this, not understanding what to do or what is even happening. You only have a few seconds to figure it out, then you die and need to fight Fujin all over again. This has to be top 10 gaming history, what the fuck, cryptic moments. Like, my lord. Upon deciphering the ancient hieroglyphs and you make Sub-Zero hang on to the stone edge, Fujin explodes himself. You then learn that 3 comes after 2, and what the true nature of Mortal Kombat Mythologies is, if it wasn't clear already. This is a very early case of a real rage game. Level 3 is filled with a bunch of holes and swinging axes that either knock you back or kill you instantly. There's even a trap right at the beginning, punishing the player if they weren't aware they need to grab this white cheddar Cheez-It before climbing down the rope, or else, death. It's truly incredible the levels of anger one single game from 1997 can make you feel. This game could not have been designed with the player's enjoyment in mind. They just wanted to piss you off in any way possible, and I refuse to believe otherwise. The player doesn't get any hints of anything. Like with these monks that live inside of Orbeez, you need to understand off the rip. Ah yes, you must freeze them right as they are disappearing, or else you get pushed into a hole and die when you try progressing. Oh, of course, when you stand against the oversized Benjamin Jacob Grimm, young Sub-Zero must know, you spam roundhouse and jump kick in that order to stunlock him, then ensure he's standing in the middle of his jail cell when the health bar is low enough, and then drop a giant elevator on his head. No joke, if you try doing anything else aside from stunlocking him with those 2 attacks, this boss fight is like impossible. If you aren't aware of that exploit, or as some call this skill, you're gonna become best friends forever with the pavement. But thankfully, you do get plenty of items while traversing through the caves, which is something you need to give credit to, giving me some little healing items, things that make me deal more damage. It almost adds another layer to the gameplay with this budget Resident Evil ass inventory management feel. It's really worth your time looking around these levels to stock up on as much as you can. You're just a peasant asking for crumbs, so anything will help. The only problem is when the entire game becomes running around looking for stuff. Upon exiting the caves, which is the Earth Temple apparently, we go to the Water Temple, or as us mortals call it, the sewers. Here, it gets solidified even further how they really wanted to diversify the portfolio of how many rage genres can be stuck into one game. First, we had the platforming cryptic boss fight bullshit, then we had the instant death traps mixed with cryptic pieces and exploits. Now we have, I don't know where the hell I'm going the video game. Every area looks the goddamn same. I'm climbing up and down ropes, feeling like I'm going bananas, looking for 3 keys that are spread around the entire level, making you run through it like a paste-eating moron for 20 minutes, not understanding where the hell you're going or where the doors you need to open are. It's incredibly frustrating to figure out where you need to go. Then, in classic Mythologies fashion, not all keys are just a simple activate to open a door and move on. One of the keys will instantly kill you if you're not aware. The tunnel gets flooded immediately after using it. This game fun. This game good. I hate to say it again, A part of me is like reverse impressed with how rage-inducing this game is. It finds every possible way to make you irritated or annoyed. It's seriously one of those games you gaslight someone with. You tell them it's awesome, the best game ever made, they'll assume you aren't lying to them, then they'll take it home and lose their mind. Reaching the sewers, being forced to draw out a map of where they're going, dying on repeat, fighting a boss who's hung like a horse. Yeah, ignoring that. The bosses are pretty interesting though. Fujin, Water God. Shortly after this, you get to fight the Fire God, who can't be frozen, forcing you to battle him in a one-on-one input reading duel. When you look at stuff like this, it really makes the player flip-flop back and forth about how they feel towards this game. Like, the environments are genuinely good. As with the music, aesthetically, everything is intriguing. These FMV cutscenes are timeless. You can't beat real-life Sub-Zero and friends. It's the part that hammers in how Sub-Zero is just a boy. Like, look at this and tell me he isn't a little kid. Mom definitely told him no video games after dinner. In seriousness, the reason we're walking away like this is because Quan Chi was lying to us of what the medallion was when we were first given the mission. He took it away and that made Sub-Zero sad. Now Raiden is here to tell me how stupid I am for helping Quan Chi. Oops, uh-oh, I aided the bad guys without even knowing it. Now I must undo my wrongdoings. Where we're then tossed smack dab back into reality. Sub-Zero gets dominated harder than anyone else ever has. A Bionicle and his friends absolutely pulverize you, bringing you straight to jail. And if you remember when Scorpion got into the BJ position earlier, that's not actually what's happening there if you couldn't figure that out. If you rip his head off by pressing forward down forward square, you will fight him again when you reach this point in the game. I didn't do it though, and it's honestly better that way because it's less time I need to play Mythologies. The game kind of starts dragging here. After you get out of jail, you obviously need to deal with more cryptic horse shit. Absolutely, why not assume the player knows they need to press L1 plus triangle to make the lift move up. Then you got this ancient gaming classic. How would anyone know there is a platform down here? There is no hint, no little post, nothing. You would need to be so bored and start jumping off of random pits, hoping something's below. That's the only way anyone's gonna figure this out, and you need to go this way. It's not a secret. This is one of the few times in life where you get lost in a level that plays out like a line with bumps on it. It brings you to this Power Ranger Dino Thunder ass boss fight that is just as fun as all the other big monsters are. The battle is impossible unless you time your jump kicks perfectly and do nothing else. You can't win. No amount of healing items will help you defeat this boss by attacking it normally. It's actually stupid. All the big monster fights are. Like, what are these battles? Even disregarding those inconveniences, I'll call them, fighting regular enemies isn't even fun either, because as I mentioned earlier, they read your inputs and counter everything you do while also having an obnoxious amount of health. The best ability in the entire game is one that lets you freeze enemies twice and kill them instantly so you can get them out of your way, if you decide to fight them at all. By the time I reach the final level, I just run by everyone, taking Sub-Zero for a walk, no leash, beaten on women to get 3 Chaos Emeralds, allowing me to finally greet Quan Chi taking a nap in his chair. I milk his udder, as you should, and enter the final confrontation that's unsurprisingly a cryptic boss battle. You can't combo him or fight him normally. Oh no, silly child, you must know. Wait for him to do a specific attack, freeze him while he's doing it, go through the teleporter, freeze him again, walk up to him, and press L1 to take his amulet, so he can turn into a sentient Lincoln Log monster that you run away from. Or if you have the sufficient amount of healing items, you can kill him to get a different ending, but I'm so annoyed at that point, I genuinely don't care and leave. Mythologies is a weird phenomenon. Like, you can see the intrigue at a surface level, even as a non-Mortal Kombat fan. There is substance here that someone would be interested in, and isn't that the point of a spin-off? Trying to get people who aren't fans to give the series a whirl while trying something new? But I find it impossible to believe anyone who played this as their first entry in the series actually thought, wow, I want to try the other ones now because this one was so doggone fun. They just fucked this game up so bad, unless you really enjoyed rage games that much. All the good pieces are overshadowed by the bad, like Oma standing over Microman. Mythologies is beyond infuriating to the point of it turning people away. And a part of me feels like Midway learned this. Even back in the Mesozoic epoch days of gaming, word spreads, so it's time for them to take a different approach by sleeping in the hyperbolic time chamber for 3 whole entire years and return with Mortal Kombat Special Forces, a completely new take on the Mortal Kombat series. And the second you see the intro cutscene, you already know it's going to be good. No explanation needed, just eyes and a quarter of a brain will help you understand how dominant this game's going to be. Instead of following the story of a ninja, Jax is the man of the hour this time, with a story of us chasing Kano after him and his gang break out of our little prison. You can tell these guys are very evil because they're walking like logs are under their arms, and that's really the story, honestly. It doesn't have any more depth to it than that. We then see the squadron gear up. Jax drives down the street in his purple automobile, where we arrive at the first hideout, a place that is so secretive, the textures didn't even know they were supposed to appear on this guy burning to death, making his little snow angel. Look at this! Mortal Kombat brought into a full 3D space for the first time ever. Jax is on the move, pressing his X button repeatedly, pounding on unnamed men who made the poor choice of getting in his face. Adding to the excitement, when you kill people, you get experience and level up, similar to Mythologies. This time, though, we get new combos instead of special attacks. And these combos are completely useless, thanks to this game being one of those timeless gems where you only need to press one button for any and all encounters. This action-packed battle right here is honestly the best way to describe Special Forces in a nutshell. And you see this after like 15 seconds of game time. It's not that the new combos you get are bad per se, it's more of how pressing XXX infinitely stun locks enemies and you can kill anyone in the game, no problem with it. Plus, all the later combos have incredibly specific timing when you're trying to pull them off, so you might as well resort to the most brain-dead thing possible, especially if every other attack pales in comparison to it. So already, you can see we have the all-time nose to the grindstone with game testing here, but really, I'd expect nothing less from a highly trained Special Forces agent. He turns any and all scuffles into you use gun, me use hand, me kill everyone with the prawn acronym. So enemies typically aren't an issue thanks to our newfound power. The only problems you'll run into from time to time, also taken straight from portions of Mythologies, is questioning where you are going and what you need to do. I will say, they did save the more cryptic stuff for later in the game. How nice of them. Level 1 just has you run around looking for buttons to press, traveling from floor to floor, blowing up walls, grabbing items, and pondering life choices. All so you can reach this asshole using a flamethrower. It's the game's first boss, and one of those types where anytime you walk near him, you'll immediately get pushed away by his attack, so you're forced to wait for him to shoot out flames, then walk behind and start punching him to death with the El Classic XXX super move. I was not kidding about how destructive this maneuver is. Even the bosses just stand there and take it. And looking at this whole situation right here, it's weird how Special Forces is basically the opposite of what Mythologies was, yet it didn't move from the bottom tier of gaming. With Mythologies, there was actually quite a bit to talk about, with the game being designed around trying to make you lose your mind while playing it. It was beyond infuriating, but there was a lot to talk about. With Special Forces, their goal seemed to be making your mind become absent while you're playing it. So there really isn't a lot to say. Even with them adding some radical stuff like using a sniper rifle to blow people's heads off in these stupid corridors you can't see anyone in because of the game's camera angle, or making puzzles that you need to figure out like getting codes by looking at computers, sometimes license plates on cars, to try pushing your sleuthing skills into overdrive, figuring out what numbers are required to be entered on a keypad. With all that stuff, Special Forces is still missing fun. As you continue playing, you'll slowly start getting detached from whatever you're doing. Sure, sometimes you'll need to pull out the boomstick, you need to deliver the sauce to a poor soul out there, or take part in more of these tough battles where using your brain is secondary from only pressing one button. Like, I'm not even joking around. The most exciting thing that happened to me for the first half of this game was me beating up on this lady taking a shower. That's how low the bar is. It's mind-blowing how much this game says while also saying nothing at all. until you reach these rooftops. Now, all of a sudden, our old buddy Cryptic makes his return, being that spike of dopamine we all dreamt of when the game started. Upon reaching the end of this walkway, there's a closed door here with no way to open it, so you walk back and forth on this path, not understanding what you're supposed to be doing to get it open, unless your mind stops and thinks, oh, this cracked window, you must need to put a bomb here to blow it open and grab a key. Like, come on, man, it's not really clear you're supposed to do that, but sure, whatever. You do all that so you can reach Jarek, whose weakness is, and after defeating the toughest boss in America, the game puts you into a level where there's no point of fighting anyone. It appears they wanted you to feel all tactical, shooting these guys camping on rocks with your sniper rifle, but their recovery time is inhuman. By the time you're aimed at them with your gun, they reloaded their missile and will just knock you back on the ground. So fuck this dude. Jax is just taking a run on the track coach to enter the catacombs, whatever this is, to hammer in the cryptic fun once more. We need to blow up these cracked walls, if you can even see where they are, to find 3 gems and their pedestals. In hopes of finding those said gems, you need to move around these pieces of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Being news to me, you don't need to grab anything before or after this part of the game. There's nothing that ever tells you there's even a grabbing command a single time. Not even a hint, nothing. But I guess they needed something to pad out the game time and make you feel like you got your money's worth. And honestly, you really do deserve to take that time and recuperate. After the war you've been through so far, pressing that X button so many times, you need to prepare yourself for the upcoming Tremor boss battle. Because this fight is actually really hard. Usually I'm being sarcastic when I say that, but not with him. And it makes sense. A lot of players claim this character is the best thing that came out of Special Forces, and I can definitely see why they said that. Someone who is this challenging, this tough-skinned, absolutely deserves to be added to any and all future Mortal Kombat releases. I don't see how you could ever leave him out. You can barely beat him in his debut. Once you take down the Titan of Titans, you enter the Nether Realm again, which is supposed to be this series' version of Hell, not a vault from Borderlands, and now we're fighting medieval characters? Shouldn't they be demons or something? Maybe skeletons? They're as out of place as Steven Seagal when he goes anywhere. Did Kano just mutilate everyone that lived here previous to the point they held up the white flag and he decided he wants the swords and shields to stop my machine gun and rockets? I can't think of any other explanation for this. The Netherrealm is yet another go-around of look for 2 gems and stick them on a pedestal fun experience to open a portal and trudge through the halls of an end city so you can meet one of the world powers face to face. Kano, whose arms look like pieces of string cheese. This is the only other actual cutscene aside from the opening one, by the way. When the battle begins, Kano runs around faster than the speed of sound and you can't really get close to him, so I shockingly needed to use my Brian. I came up with the tactic of shoot missile at Kano, then give him the Nux to stunlock him with the power of 1,000 nukes to end the game. Who would expect anything else? It's very odd how far apart and how similar Special Forces and Mythologies are. These games at their core play nothing alike. Mythologies was using the regular 2D fighting as a base, having you learn your special attacks, enveloping yourself into the backstory of Sub-Zero, while also being one of the most rage-inducing things I've ever seen in my life. Then Special Forces tried to make you feel like you're playing some sort of adventure game, getting guns, shooting people, using codes to open doors, but the combat is so unbelievably mundane, thanks to the game, I'm assuming, not being tested, and all the player needs to do is press one button to win the whole thing, making it one of the most boring games you could ever play since it has the depth of a piss puddle. Polar opposite sides of the spectrum, but also the same, since most wouldn't really want to play either of them. When you look at these side by side, you're asking which one do I want to deal with instead of which one do I want to play. And the best part of this entire situation is that both of these games are being brought back in the upcoming Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. I learned this a few days ago. It's unreal. New audiences will be able to see these games for the first time. How wonderful is that? If we're speaking purely on the time period of release though, after the year 2000, it was looking pretty rough in the streets with spin-offs for this franchise. I don't think a soul anywhere had any hopes for another one of these coming, or if it did, had any hopes of it being good, but that's what 2 extra years of waiting does for you, buddy. 5 whole years after Special Forces, we got Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Or if you play as Sub-Zero or Scorpion, it's like Mortal Kombat Shaolin Guys because they aren't monks. Whatever, that doesn't matter. If you want to see a game that really learned from the mistakes of its predecessors, this right here is one of the best examples of it. You figure that out the immediate second you see the opening cutscene. One of the greatest cinematics in the entirety of this franchise, playing out the story of the first Mortal Kombat, hyping you up for the game itself that is going to follow the story of the second game. And you are not remotely let down by the hype. The instant you get into action, your brain is stunned, especially if you just came off of playing the last 2 pieces of junk that I did. This is what a Mortal Kombat spin-off type game should be. Incredibly fluid combat, over-the-top combos that are satisfying to pull off, giving you plenty of room to experiment with. You can pick weapons up off the ground and decapitate a variety of enemies that are taken from the Lorios dropped from various entries in the series. You visit a bunch of familiar locations, like where the game starts in Goro's lair, the Wasteland, Deadpool, Soul Tomb, Living Forest, amongst plenty others. There's big monsters to go against, alongside recognizable characters as bosses. They just hit the nail on the head for what a Mortal Kombat spin-off game should be. And this is the biggest thing to me. They're using stuff people already know, while also creating a new experience players never got to have before. Best of all, they didn't fuck it up. There's enough here to make it feel new, but also the same. And I can't believe I'm saying it after all this time. They actually let us do fatalities. You know, the main thing Mortal Kombat is known for? In the last 2 games, you could only do 2 fatalities between both of them. And both were in Mythologies. Special Forces didn't even have any. And if you want to be serious, it's technically only 1 fatality because it's the same one performed just on a different person. Here, there's plenty of them to do with each playable character. On top of that, they also added 2 other finishers that fit the style of this game more than the traditional fatality would. A new one called Mortality that kills multiple people at once. Then you have Brutalities where you can run around freaking out, killing everyone. In a matter of minutes, you can clearly see that Shaolin Monks blows the other 2 games we talked about so far out of the water, you can't even put it into words. Not only because the PS2 is a much more powerful console than the PS1 was, but the raw idea behind the gameplay here alone tells the player that. There's a reason why people tweet at Ed Boon yearly saying they want to die because this game has not been remade or even re-released yet. It took the few good pieces of both the previous games and made a good one out of it. Shaolin Monks rights all the wrongs seen previous. But, as always, that doesn't mean it's perfect. As great as this game can be, it obviously has some problems. The lowest hanging fruit to grab is definitely how Sub-Zero and Scorpion don't have their own dialogue and share voices with Liu Kang and Kung Lao, which is actually pretty funny though.
But isn't this Shang Tsung's magic? How can we trust his warnings?
And speaking of cutscenes, some of them are really weird.
You killed Reptile. This is very good. Master, why do you say that? You are feeding the soul tombs. This is all we hoped for.
Okay. I mean, sure, I guess it's good. But who says it like that? It's like rolling up to Makarov at the end of No Russian and he says, "You killed everyone in the airport. This is very good," and then shoots you afterwards. Alright, maybe it's not like that, but still. Also, why does Cabal sound like Elvis?
We are here to stop Shang Tsung. Will you help us?
I'm sorry, I can't. My clan needs me, and they must know that we have been betrayed by one of our own. But know that I too am opposed to Shang Tsung and everything that is wrong in this place. Know that the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Thank you.
Do you need a peanut butter and banana sandwich on your way out, bucko? A lot of the delivery in these cutscenes is just strange, to say the least. There are endless examples of this weird nonsense throughout the game, and it does become more apparent over time. Shaolin Monks was rushed out the door. As you progress further into the story, that's where most of the strange cutscenes are, plus the story writing in of itself seemed to be rushed. or if not, it wasn't thought out thoroughly enough. If you take the biggest story driver, which is Shang Tsung coming by periodically, posing as Raiden, or even at one point, he pretends he's Liu Kang talking down to Kung Lao, then brushes his teeth with the bones in his hand. His goal is trying to split Liu Kang and Kung Lao up throughout the entire game, but it culminates to nothing. When you approach the end of the game, Liu Kang says,
Raiden was right. This is not Kung Lao. This is Shang Tsung. This is my chance. I'll not be fooled again, Shang Tsung.
And kicks Kung Lao in the back of his head. They get into a little scuffle, looking like 12-year-olds doing karate for the first time. Raiden comes in and says, guys, stop. And that's it. Why not make the player get to fight the monk they aren't playing as? It would have been a lot more engaging that way. Then outside the story, there are some little things that point towards the cutting corners direction. Like the way you get the swing ability is a perfect example. It reeks of grime. The abilities like double jump, wall climb, wall run, whatever, are typically rewards for completing one of the worlds or beating a boss. Then you're telling me I get swing just by throwing a couple dead guys on hooks? It's just random how you get it. To me, it sucks because I wish there was more of the game to play. But even with the rushed aspects, Shaolin Monks is still incredibly enjoyable with a minimal amount of blunders, and you can only really put nitpicks towards it, like how throwing aim can be somewhat of an issue, Scorpion is a pile of dog shit character, and they screwed up how experience works pretty badly. It's a currency this time around, so you spend it on special move upgrades and unlocking new combos, but after you unlock them all, experience is completely worthless, and you continuously get it throughout the game by killing enemies or bosses. If you play as either Sub-Zero or Scorpion, both barely have anything to unlock, so you'll end up getting everything for them before you even reach the halfway point. Regardless of all that though, you're still gonna have a good time looking for the plentiful amounts of secrets hidden throughout, enveloping yourself into the world, and stumbling into the secret bosses, like Ermac, who was hidden in the Warrior Shrine, having one of the most ridiculous fatalities, or maybe even boss finishes I've ever seen in my life. When you beat him, Ermac throws a whole ass boulder at you, and your character just kicks it back at him. Like, what? All the other ones are choreographed great. We get to watch stuff like Jade get her eyes stabbed out and Kung Lao says, oops, sorry, or we break Reptile's neck with our bare hands. So I don't know what happened here. I genuinely don't know what to say about it. As with the final boss, the only moment of the game where you probably won't have any fun. This fight is fucked. You need to fight Shang Tsung, Kintaro, and Shao Kahn with 2 phases, back to back to back, only having minimal health pickups throughout. If you die on any of the bosses, you need to start over, making it become one of those fights where you need to play like a jackass and spam the same moves over and over again. Otherwise, it's almost impossible for you to win. And with how shit Scorpion's projectile is, it made this fight so much worse for me. I didn't know he was a 70-year-old man with that spear recovery time. Jesus Christ. But even if you couldn't win back then and wanted to choke yourself out with the controller wire from blinding rage, you still knew deep down Shaolin Monks proved one thing. It proves Mortal Kombat can work in other ways than just being a fighter. This series clearly has the charm, world, and character to succeed in this space. I guarantee if Shaolin Monks were to be re-released or remade, or even a sequel was finally created, it would do well, especially if you consider the 2-player option, which you're actively encouraged to do thanks to there being a few collectibles that can only be attained with another person, and it also just makes the game even more enjoyable. Like, people that I know who aren't even fans of this series still enjoy this game, which speaks volumes by itself. Something that could definitely not be said about Special Forces or Mythologies. Weirdly though, those games needed to walk so Shaolin Monks could run. It's really a shame with the positive reception this game has gotten throughout the years, Mortal Kombat didn't continue branching out with spin-offs. The only other attempt that actually released was a game called Mortal Kombat Onslaught for mobile that cannot be played anymore, meaning I technically did play all the spin-offs, but I also didn't. Onslaught was a beat-em-up style game. It looks alright for a phone game. Can't really say anything else more than that though, since I can't play it. It got shut down in 2024. And unfortunately, it seems they aren't interested in making another spin-off title anytime soon. Hopefully one day that will change. But be sure to leave your thoughts about these games in the comments. I'm interested to see what you all have to say about them. And if you somehow made it to the end, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the playlist on screen for more videos like this one. As always, take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all again in the next video.